What's going on, everybody on Zoom? What's going on to everybody on Instagram? If you're joining us on IG, go ahead and if you want to see my actual slides, then join us on Zoom at http. What's going on, everybody? Welcome. This is Metaphysical Bible Study. I'm Julian Gordon, and we are about to decode Genesis chapter 4, the Cain and Abel story. If you ever read that story and it didn't make sense to you, it will by the end of this session. So excited to have you here. If this is your first time joining us, go to truthseekers.com, plural. Again, that's truthseekers.com, plural. And that'll give you the Zoom link so that you can see my screen where I'm actually laying out and sharing with you my actual notes. Let me show you. So this is what my notes actually look like, right? But you can only see those on Zoom. So I'm gonna post that link here in chat and pin it. And excited to have you here. If you're ready to go, then go ahead and get a Bible, preferably a King James version of the Bible, for no particular reason except that it's the most common, and that's where I'll be reading from, so that we can stay on one accord. You know, they done changed this book so many different ways, and then made all kinds of remixes and iterations of it. So just so that we are on one accord, and that's the most common version that exists. We use that particular book, even with all the adulteration and the changing and the translations and the mistranslations of this particular text. We still believe that we can find the truth that is deep down within, and we have some truths to uncover here. So if you're joining us on social media, go ahead and share this, like, share, comment, let me know if you're in the building, and yeah, let's get into it. All right, cool. So again, if this is your first time joining us, this space is different. This Bible study is different. There's no religious aspect. This is a non-religious Bible study. So I don't care if you're a Christian, Muslim, Baptist, Methodist, Seventh-day Adventist, Catholic, doesn't matter. I believe that this book has a lot of spiritual truths in it, regardless of your religious background, and that's what we're seeking to uncover. Period. No dogma here whatsoever. I have no affiliation. There's no money. There's no building fund that I will ask for afterwards. This is just pure seeking of truth to develop and strengthen our individual relationships with Source, whatever you call that. Here, there's no judgment. There's no converting. There's no convincing. It is just pure truth seekers coming together as children of God to understand what Source is, who we are in Source, and how to move and have a better experience here on earth as in heaven, on earth as it is in heaven, right? And so I'm so grateful that you were here. Perhaps some of you went to a spiritual center or church or mosque this morning. That's perfectly fine. This is not to replace that. This is for you to go deeper and do your own individual study. We are breaking the mold of being children when it comes to our spiritual food. We do not need a middleman or middlewoman to break down the spiritual food for us. We can go into these texts ourselves and actually have the insights and the truths revealed, right? In many ways, in many religious practices, we are passive in our own spiritual growth and development. We let a minister, preacher, imam, whoever do all the internal work, right? And then bring us their cliff notes on Sundays or whatever day that you go to service. And we are off that, okay? In addition to that, we're gonna do our own work. We're gonna do our own truth seeking, right? And we're gonna go into the closet of our own minds and find these truths. And so we've been going through a process of actually decoding Genesis. If you missed Genesis 1, 2, and 3, they are rich. And those recordings are up on YouTube, so you'll be able to find them there. Again, if you go to truthseekers.com, plural, you'll get access to all of those recordings. But just excited to have you here. So when you have pen and paper and your Bible with you, please type ready. Please type ready. Please type ready if you are ready to go. All right. Good. Beautiful. Now, in this space, I am not the expert. I do not proclaim that I have the universal truth to the understanding of these stories. I do do a lot of inner work, and I've read this story over and over and over again to come up with the truths that I have. Each one of us has our own unique experience and perspective. But in this particular space, metaphysical Bible study, you are not meant to come and just show up and just wait for me to teach you. In fact, you were supposed to read the chapter or the story 3 times in advance yourself and do your own decoding. Okay. This is active participation in your own spiritual growth, not passive. I'm not going to entertain you. There's no singing here. There's no dancing here. Okay. A lot of that stuff that goes on in traditional religious services actually take away from getting to the truth. Getting to the truth. In many cases, this has become a form of entertainment, free entertainment. I get to go to a free concert on Sunday, and then we call it worshiping God. But to truly worship, in my eyes, okay, and I always say that, in my eyes, is to be living our life in alignment with why we were created, with that energy, with that source, with that entity, whatever it is you want to call it. That is true worship, is when we are living in alignment with it, not just showing up to a space on Sunday dressed up, looking nice, dancing, reading a couple of scriptures, and listening to somebody else give their interpretation. So I challenge you here to do your own work, right? To actually go into the text. I go into this text every single day. I go into this text every single day as if I'm a minister, but I'm not. I don't hold that title. I'm just a truth seeker, just like you, right? And so I thank you for being a truth seeker yourself, and we are going to get into it. So with that, I'm going to read the Truth Seeker's Prayer. It is a prayer that I wrote to prepare us for this process. And so I'm going to share my screen on Zoom. For those of you who are with us on Zoom, if you're not with us on Zoom, go to jointruthseekers.com. Go to jointruthseekers.com. You can join us there on Zoom. I'm going to share my screen so that you can see the Truth Seeker's Prayer for those of you who are on Zoom. And let's get into it. All right, mirror. All right, so the Truth Seeker's Prayer is as follows. We are truth seekers. We seek the whole truth and nothing but the truth. We know that the truth shall set us free. John 8:32. We believe that when we ask, it shall be given to us. When we seek, we shall find. And when we knock, the door shall be opened unto us. Matthew 7:7. We know that as we sit in the temple of our minds, listening for your voice and asking questions in the holy place, in that holy place, we shall find understanding and answers. Luke 2:46-47. For there is nothing covered that shall not be revealed, neither hid that shall not be known. Luke 12:2. We know that because the Bible is heavily coded in allegories, Galatians 4:24, similes, Luke 13:18, and parables, Matthew 13:34, many who think they are seeing, see not, and hearing, they hear not, neither do they understand, including those who call themselves your disciples, Matthew 13:13. We know to not rely on the letter, but the spirit of the word, for the letter killeth, but the spirit giveth life. 2 Corinthians 3:6. We are meant to study to show thyself approved unto God, rightly dividing the word of truth. 2 Timothy 2:15. Wash our feet, which represents our understanding, so that we may build our church or temple, which is our individual belief system, upon a rock of truth that we are the sons and daughters of God. Matthew 16:16. May we feel free to renew our minds, Romans 12:2, by destroying and rebuilding our temple over and over and getting better and better, leaving no stone standing, Matthew 24:2. We know that when we pray, we shall enter into the closet of our minds, shut the door, pray to God, which is in secret, Matthew 6:6. And we also know that where 2 or 3 are gathered together in your name, I am is in the midst, Matthew 18:20. We pray this metaphysical Bible study blesses, builds, and brings all children of God closer to you, whether inside or outside of a religious context, even if that means wrestling with our concept of you for our blessing, like Jacob. Genesis 32. We believe that we love you and thank you with all of our hearts, minds, and soul. Matthew 22:37. Ashe, amen. And so it is. So this is the Truth Seeker's Prayer here. I put that together, and that was inspired in order to let you know that it is okay to seek. What is not okay is when we don't seek, when we are born into our parents' belief system and we never question it whatsoever. When you're seeking, it is going to require questions. And if we're going to renew our minds, anybody who's truly renewing their mind is always seeking. And so we do not seek outwardly. Let me change that from we to I don't seek outwardly, I seek within. And yes, some answers come from without, but the question comes from within. And so we are going within the closet of our minds into our temple, which is right here, and seeking the truth of these texts and these stories. All right. And so we have a process here for decoding. It's called crack. It's called crack. And so I want to walk you through the process real quick. Where is it? Where is it? Let me see real quick. Thumbnails. Yes, here it is. So our process for decoding the Bible is as follows. It's an acronym called CRACK. Okay, how to crack the Bible code. So first and foremost, we connect with God, which is we enter into thy closet, and when thou hast shut thy door, pray to thy Father which is in secret. That's connect. Then R, we read the text with new eyes, releasing old programming perspectives and literal interpretations. Then we go into A, which is ask. We ask for under, inner, and overstanding from God, okay? Not from any man or woman, but from God within ourselves. Asking, you shall receive, seeking, you will find. Then the next C is code. We code the names, the words, the places, the numbers, etc., using meditation, divine downloads, the Metaphysical Bible Dictionary, concordance, and other tools. And then K, we knock, and the door, which is the secret, the parable, the metaphor, or the allegory, shall be open. All right. So before we go forward into reading Genesis 4 line by line, I want to take a moment to actually just go into a quick meditation. We're going to take 5 deep breaths in and out. We say that we're in heaven, right? We in heaven and then we exhale. We in heaven and then we exhale. So we're going to begin with that. And this is to quiet your mind, to bring stillness to your mind and bring it fully present here so that you can hear and so that you can hear your God, your inner voice, and get any truths, insights, and understanding that are going to be relevant to helping you live a better life here. Okay. So what we're going to do is we're going to inhale for 5 seconds, hold for 1, and then release for 4. Okay. First breath in heaven. Hold. Release. In heaven for 5 seconds, slowly. Hold. Release. In heaven. Hold. Release. Two more. In heaven for 5 seconds. Hold. Exhale. And in heaven one more time. 5 seconds, slowly fill up the lungs. Hold. Release. Scripture says, be still and know that I am God. And so stillness is an important part of this process. As human doings, we end up being in motion all the time, and we're supposed to be human beings, and stillness is a huge part of that process and connecting with your source. All right, so with that, we are going to get started. We're going to jump over to Genesis 4. We've already decoded Genesis 1, 2, and 3. And I just want you to know that the process of decoding never truly ends. It is an ongoing process. Every time I read these chapters or these stories over and over and over again, I discover new insights. So the work is never done. And the truth will only be revealed to you to the receptiveness of your understanding and the degree of your spiritual growth. So many people only read the Bible on the surface level, which is the literal interpretation of the Bible. But when you read many of these texts, literally, they don't make sense. And there's a reason, because they're allegories, they're similes, they're stories, there's metaphors. to actually reveal a deeper truth. And so that is what we are engaged in, and that is what we are about to go into right now. So everybody, please turn to Genesis 4 right now. Turn to Genesis 4. And one thing that we do before we start reading these chapters is we identify what we think the story is about in one word, okay? We identify the persons, the places, and the things that we may need to define, okay? And then the questions that simply don't make sense, the questions that came up as we were reading. So first and foremost, I need everybody to think about the Cain and Abel story. If you had to put in one word what the Cain and Abel story is truly about, okay, what would you say? Go ahead and type in comments or chat. If you had to put in one word what the story of Cain and Abel is truly about, what would you say it is? What did you get? One word. One word. Thoughts and dreams. Jealousy. Jealousy. Disobedience. Okay. Thoughts and dreams. Good. Conflict. Oops. Conflict. Thoughts. Dreams. Anger. Envy. Jealousy and envy. Whoops. Envy. Betrayal. Good. Rejection. These are all themes that happen in our lives, correct? Lower and higher self. Good, 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 good. Good. Sibling rivalry. All right. So all of these things were revealed to you as you read the story, and all of these answers are right because it will be revealed to you based on where you actually are. So nobody is wrong in this case. All right. So the subconscious mind. Good, good, good. So I'm gonna put the subconscious. Somebody says subconscious. All right. So who are the main characters? Who are the persons that we need to be aware of? Obviously, Cain, Abel, Eve, Adam, Seth, Enoch, and the offspring, okay? And God, or the Lord. Lord, I think it's capitalized, all right? So these are the main characters. Are there any places that we may need to decode that came up in the story? Any places? Nod. Nod came up as a place that we need to understand. What does nod mean? Almost every place, person, and place in the Bible needs to be decoded, right? East of Eden, what does that mean, right? East of Eden, good, good. Arat, any other places, okay? Any things that came up, any words, nouns that came up that had you like, what does that mean? Any nouns that came up? Murder or slew, what does that mean? Tiller, firstlings, good. Any other nouns that came up that threw you off, didn't make sense? Offering, what does offering mean in this context? Is it the same as the offering plate that comes around on Sunday? All right. Now, what questions came up for you? What questions came up for you in this text? Where did people of Nod come from? Right? What other questions came up for you? Where did Cain's wife come from? Where did Cain's wife come from? Right? It was Adam and Eve. They gave birth to Cain and Abel. 4 people on earth. 1 gets killed. Where does Cain's wife come from? She just magically appeared, right? Where was Adam and Eve when Cain? Where were the parents? Where was Adam and Eve when Cain killed Abel? Okay, great, great, great. Why wasn't Cain's offering respected? Why wasn't Cain's offering respected? Good one, good one. That's one of the core questions, right? That's one of the core ones. How did God hear Abel's blood? I know I've heard of blood gushing, but blood all of a sudden has a voice. How did God hear Abel's blood? What does that mean? In Genesis 3, what else was talking in Genesis 3 that didn't make sense? In Genesis 3, what talk that did not make sense? Snake talking in Genesis 3, and what else? Right? In Genesis 3, what was it? The voice, where was it? Said the voice. In Genesis 3, it was the voice of heard, it said, remember in Genesis 3, said, and they heard the voice of the Lord God walking. Heard the voice of the Lord God walking. What? And why is it that we always, as human beings, have to anthropomorphize, I think, anthropomorphize God, right? We make God in our image instead of just accepting that we were made in God's image, or as I like to say, imagination. All right. So these are some of the questions. These are some of the core questions. These are some of the core questions. All right. So beautiful. So now let's get into it, family. All right. Everybody good? All right, cool. So here we go, line by line. And again, if you're on social media and you want to see my notes and my screen, then join us on Zoom at jointruthseekers.com plural, jointruthseekers.com plural, and let's get it in, family. Get a pen and paper, get your Bible, and let's go. Chapter 4, Genesis. And Adam knew Eve. What does "knew" mean? Nobody put that, right? What about that word? Knew. Adam knew Eve, right? Adam knew Eve. Why didn't you say Adam, did his thing? Why did you Adam was knocking some boots? Just like, what do you mean, knew Eve? Maybe it doesn't mean what we think it means. Adam knew Eve. Now, it could be sex. It could be sex if we were talking about two physical entities. But in Genesis 5:2, what does it say? In Genesis 5:2, it says, male and female created he them and blessed them and called their name Adam in the day when they were created. So Genesis 5:2 presents Adam and Eve as one entity. So are we actually talking about two physical entities, a man and a woman coming together through sex? And anywhere else that this word "new" comes up, is that exactly what we're talking about? If we're talking about physical beings, maybe. If we're talking about the conscious mind and the subconscious mind, then maybe not. It would really just mean oneness, that they came together, that they were aligned. It would literally just mean alignment. Okay? Does your conscious mind know your subconscious mind? Yes or no? Does your conscious mind know your subconscious mind? Does your subconscious mind know your conscious mind? Okay. So are they one? Are they one? Right? We showed in Genesis 3 how Genesis 3 and Adam and Eve representing potentially the conscious and subconscious mind, that the subconscious mind and the conscious mind are at war oftentimes. They're not aligned. They're out of alignment with one another. But in this case, Adam knew Eve, okay? And bare Cain and said, I have gotten a man from the Lord. Now, why is this critical? what I've noticed in language patterns of this particular writer is that the meaning of the name of the individual usually comes after the individual's name. So did you know that Cain means spear bearer, political leader, to fit together or forge, acquired or gotten. So you see right here in verse 1, I have gotten a man from the Lord. So basically, remember, in Hebrew, the names are supposed to reflect the nature of the character. And so I just want you to note that as something to think about when you hear a character's name and their name explained, because their name being explained is actually giving you knowledge about what they're really about. Okay. So Cain and said, I have gotten a man, or I have acquired a man. So that's why it was named Cain. Okay. And then verse 2. And she again bare his brother Abel. Now, what does this mean? Does anybody know what this means? And she again bare his brother Abel. I just caught this during this reading. My last reading of this. Does anybody know what this means? And she again bare his brother Abel. They're twins, family. They're twins. They're twins. Adam didn't know Eve again. This is all happening in one occurrence. And there are examples over and over of twins being born in the Bible. What does that mean? Why does this pattern keep on reoccurring? Right? They're two sides of the same coin. They come from the same source, right? They're on the same spectrum, positive and negative, right? So they're actually twins, family. So physically, by nature, they look alike, but obviously their inner natures are different. Their inner natures are different. Who are the other twins in the Bible? Who are the other twins in the Bible, family? Where's the other brother story? Brother betrayal story. There's several of them, but the next biggest one is Jacob and Esau. If Jacob grabbed Esau's heel, then what does that make them? If Jacob grabbed Esau's heel, which is the writer's way of saying what? That they're twins, that they were born at the same time. I just caught that during my last reading. Does this make sense, family? Full significance, I don't know. I don't know what that means yet, but I know it means something. I don't think any of this is happenstance. Okay, cool. So moving forward, and Abel was keeper of the sheep, but Cain was tiller of the ground. So keeper of the sheep, what do we call a keeper of the sheep? What do we call a keeper of sheep, family? We call him a shepherd. And Jesus was known as the what? Jesus was known as the good shepherd, right? And so what do you think sheep might symbolize in this allegory? Again, we're reading this allegorically. There are people who read this story as straight, literal, and fact, okay? We're reading it as allegory because we're looking for the deeper meaning. Some people say that followers of Christ are sheep. On a metaphysical standpoint, sheep would be the spirit-led, higher, pure, innocent, gentle thoughts in our mind. These are the obedient thoughts that adhere to their master. Sheep would be the spirit-led, right? The God-led, higher thoughts that listen to their master. Okay? These are the obedient ones, all right? And if we go to the fast forward to the New Testament, then when we lose a sheep, when a thought goes astray, yes, SB Trust, you're correct. Sheep is also, it can also be seen as slave. So you can read it and see if that understanding or that interpretation resonates here. But in the New Testament, Jesus talks about losing a sheep. And what would you do if you lost a sheep? What would he do if he lost a sheep? He would leave the other 99 and actually go after the one. Okay? So you have to define, remember, each of you are creating your own dictionary. Each of you is creating your own dictionary to the code. So if SB Trust says sheep equals slaves for me, then SB Trust will go through this text, and every time sheep comes up, he or she will see if sheep as slaves works, right? If it only works in one case scenario and it doesn't work throughout, then that's probably not the right decoding. If I believe that sheep are the spirit-led higher thoughts, then I'm going to run that throughout the entire text and see if that actually works. Does this make sense, everybody? I'm not trying to convince you or convert you to believe or see it in the way that I see it. We're all here on our own individual journeys. Does this make sense? Okay, cool. So now we get into Cain. And Cain was the tiller of the ground. Now, what do we know the ground to be? Based on our readings of Genesis 1, 2, and 3, what do we know the ground to be? What do we know the ground to be? The surface level ground, and that which is below it is the conscious and subconscious mind. And we plant seeds in the subconscious mind so that they may express consciously in our awareness. Okay, so here we have, but are sheep above the ground or below the ground? Are sheep above the ground or below the ground, family? We're still operating on a similar plane, but the sheep are above the ground. These fruits were of the ground, so they must go down within first. All right. Now, who else had to till the ground, family? This is where we start connecting. Who else had to till the ground? Adam, right here, Genesis 3:23. Genesis 3:23. Therefore, the Lord God sent him forth from the Garden of Eden to till the ground from whence he was taken. So, Cain is taking after who? Cain is taking after who? His dad, the masculine, the conscious, right? And Abel is taking after who? His mother. Abel is taking after the mother. You also see this in Jacob and Esau, right? Jacob stayed with who? For those of you who know, Jacob stayed with who? Jacob stayed with Rebecca. Jacob stayed with his mother while Esau went out and did what? Esau went out and hunted, like the masculine. It's a pattern. What it means for you, I don't know. What it means for me, I'm still exploring, but I see a pattern. Why do these same two stories keep coming up? What are they trying to tell us? What are they trying to tell us, right? Okay, so moving forward. So Cain is a tiller of the ground and Abel was a keeper of the sheep. Now, which one do you think is harder work? Which one do you think is harder work? Which one do you think is harder work? You're probably going to endure more sweat trying to till the ground than to allow nature, what's natural, to unfold through the sheep giving birth. I don't know. I haven't tilled the ground to that degree, and I've not taken care of sheep. But man's role in the multiplication of sheep is very minimal. But man's role in manifesting fruit from the ground, I actually have grown things in my backyard. Man has a significant role in that process. Though there are natural things that occur, Man has to consciously be aware, or else they will not unfold in the way that it desires. Does that make sense? That's my thought. That's my interpretation. Again, this is not about convincing you to see it as I see it. Okay. So moving forward, verse 3, and in the process of time, it came to pass that Cain brought of fruit of the ground an offering unto the Lord. So somehow they knew that they were supposed to offer what they were bearing to the Lord. Not sure how that came to be, right? Because if I remember correctly, the Lord kicked their parents out of the garden. So the fact that they're now making offerings by default to this entity, that's a question for me. How do they know to do that? Where did this idea of offering come in? This is the first introduction of an offering, right? Okay. So moving forward. Oh, I forgot to mention Abel's name. Okay. Abel's name means vanity, breath, emptiness, or to act emptily or become vain. All right. So let me show you this. All right. So this is from ancienthebrew.org. It says the names of Cain and Abel are Latin English transliterations of the Greek names found in the Septuagint, 2,000-year-old Greek translation of the Hebrew. In Greek, Cain is Cain and Abel is Abel, right? These are the Greek translations of in Hebrew. The word Cain means to acquire or possess something. The word Cain means to acquire or possess something, which is why Eve, right, said, I have gotten or acquired a man in Genesis 4:1. Y'all see that? Y'all see that? The word Abel means to be empty, often translated as vain or vanity in the sense of being empty of substance. So what does this mean for you with these two definitions? What do these mean for you? Cain is what? And Abel is what? Exactly. There's a distinction between spirit and flesh. Abel is allowing spirit to move through it because Abel is empty, and Cain is seeking to possess. Okay. In Hebrew, thought one's name, right, is reflective of one's character. The Hebraic meaning of the names Cain and Abel are windows into their characters. Cain is a possessor, one who has substance, while Abel is empty of substance. Cain is a possessor. Now, what aspect of our mind is possessive? What aspect of our mind is possessive? And focus on the physical. The aspect of our mind that is possessive and focused on the physical is the conscious mind and ego. Okay? And we're going to get into the ego later on, I think in Genesis chapter 11. So another interesting fact about these two that often overlooked is that Cain and Abel are the first twins. All right. So this is these are the meanings of their names. So I'm meant to make sure that we captured the meaning of Abel's name. So back to verse 4. And Abel, he also brought of the firstlings of his flock and the fat thereof, and the Lord had respect unto Abel to his offering. But unto Cain, to his offering, he had not respect, and Cain was wroth or angry with his countenance failed. Okay, so does anybody have or see the clue in terms of why the Lord was respectful of Abel's offering, but not respectful of Cain's offering? Does anybody see it? Nina got it. I highlighted them for you. Cain gave of whatever fruit that it bore. Abel gave of his firstlings, his first fruits, and there's an and there, and the fat, which is the richest part. Basically, Abel gave his best. Cain offered whatever he desired to offer. Do you see that? I was wondering, I've always wondered this. It just didn't make sense. Why? They both gave based on their quote unquote occupations. But when you look at the text, Abel gave of the first, right? And gave of the fat. Okay. And so Cain brought forth through manpower and hard work. Abel offering came through manifestation and the work of spirit. Okay. So basically, if we had to language that, basically what it's saying, Cain is basically saying, I work for this. Here's what I'm willing to give you, right? Abel said, God bless me with this. And therefore I give of my first, and I give the richest part of this offering. I work for this versus God bless me with this. I work for this versus God bless me with this. If those two entities have to give, who do you think is going to give a greater gift or offering? I work for this or God bless me with this? Who gives the greater offering? Who gives the greater offering? I believe that it's the one who feels blessed, who does not rely on conscious production. Because guess what? You know what this really is a story of, family? You want to know what this is really a story of? If we look at the history of man, it's a story of hunter and gatherer versus farmer. It's a story of the hunter and gatherer versus the farmer. Now, the question is, Adam and Eve in the garden, were they hunters and gatherers or were they farmers? Adam and Eve, were they hunters and gatherers or farmers, family? In the garden, prior to the eating of the tree of knowledge and good and evil, everything was provided for them. They didn't have to do any work. All they had to do was gather the fruits of the tree. They were hunters and gatherers. And when you're a hunter and a gatherer, then guess what? When you're a hunter and a gatherer, who are you relying on for your source? Who are you relying on for your source when you're a hunter and gatherer? Who are you relying on to bring an elephant in front of you so that you can feed your tribe? Who are you relying for a stream to appear when you're walking through the desert? You are 100% relying on source, on God. Now, when you become a farmer, your mind actually shifts, and it is actually based in lack in many cases. And here's why. In the New Testament, Jesus talks about none of the other animals of the earth gathering and worrying about clothes and things of that nature, but do all of the other animals, with the exception of environments where we as man have stepped in, do all other animals worry about how they're going to eat or what they're going to wear? All other animals of the earth rely on what? To provide for them. All other animals simply rely on God. They simply rely on God. Okay? Once you become a farmer, you now are trying to you want predictability. And why do you want predictability? Why would you want predictability? because you're afraid that you won't be provided for. So this is why we're able to eat mangoes in the winter. It's because we've gone so far with companies like Monsanto to say, if the people want mangoes in the winter, even though that's not when mangoes are supposed to grow, we're going to give it to them. They want what they want. The conscious mind has an appetite and it wants what it wants. And so rather than relying on God purely, solely, 100%, right? Rather than relying on God 100%, we're going to start farming so that we can determine our food source. And this is where toil comes in. This is a story of hunting and gathering. Okay? That's my perspective. That's my perspective, right? So, moving forward. And the Lord said unto Cain, verse 6, why art thou wroth, and why is thou countenance fallen? If thou doest well, okay, doest is the realm of doing, right? Shalt thou not be accepted? And if thou doest not well, sin lieth at the door, and unto thee shall be his desire, and thou shalt rule over him. So basically, if you do well, then you'll be accepted in terms of the conscious mind. And if you don't do well, then the evil or the sin will be at your door, eager to get at you, but you shall rule over it. So this is an empowerment of the conscious mind to make a decision. This is the decision tree. If I do well, I'm accepted. If I don't do well, then I'm going to have to deal with sin. This is a decision tree, right? And the conscious mind has the ability to make that decision. The conscious mind has the ability to make that decision, all right? So, are y'all with me? Y'all with me? Okay. So now, verse 8, Cain made a decision. And Cain talked with Abel, his brother, and it came to pass when they were in the field that Cain rose up against Abel, his brother, and slew him. There's a key word here. Rose up. Rose up. This is not by chance, family. If you go in the New Testament, you will see Jesus went up, they went down, they went up, they went down, they went up, they went down. You will see this fluctuation of movement all throughout the text. You may have just thought it was a little word. Oh yeah, they went up to Jerusalem, they went down to this, and they went up to that, and they went up to the boat, and this and that. You may think that these words are insignificant, but then you're going to start to see a pattern. You're going to start to see a pattern. So if we take those words rose up as significant, then what does this mean? The conscious mind rose up over and against the subconscious mind. The conscious mind rose up above. Because we said earlier that the conscious mind was below. Cain was dealing with the ground. Abel was dealing with the sheep. And for me, that is more so the superconscious, the more God-mindedness. So Cain rose up above, okay, against Abel, his brother, and slew him. All right. So now the conscious mind is sitting on the top of the throne, like, look at me. This is my land now. This is all mine now, right? Now, verse 9. And the Lord said unto Cain, where is Abel thy brother? Why doesn't this make any sense? Why doesn't this make any sense? This is the second time in 2 chapters where the all-knowing God, for some reason, can't find or doesn't know what happened. God is all knowing, but God didn't know where Adam and Eve were at. Only two people to keep track of, but didn't know where they were at. Now has no clue where Abel is at, the all-knowing. This is why this can't be taken literally, family. It does not make sense when you take it literally. Oh, God was just sleeping. God was in the cut. No, God is omnipresent. God is everywhere. God is all-knowing, omniscient. Okay. And he said, I know not, am I my brother's keeper? Right? Am I my brother's keeper? And all right, am I my brother's keeper? Right? So then again, verse 10, and he said, what hast thou done? When is the last time Lord said, what hast thou done? In Genesis 3:13. If we go right back over, and the Lord said unto woman, what is it that thou hast done? Okay, so wait a second. This whole thing, this whole notion of the fall is supposed to be Eve's fault, right? It's supposed to be Eve's fault. But in just 2 generations, just 4 people, the creation has messed up. Do we blame the creation or the creator? Who would be at fault? The creation or the creator? If your kid can't do math in the 6th grade, do you blame the kid or the teacher and the parent? Right? Just something to consider. If my kid can't do addition in 6th grade, that is not the kid's fault. That is my fault as the parent. Okay? And so here we have situations where this parental God is off duty, doesn't know where Adam and Eve are, doesn't know where Abel is, allow Abel to get killed, right? And then doesn't know what has happened. Just something's off there. That's all I'm saying. Something's off. Okay. Now, here we go again with this voice thing. Verse 10, the voice of my brother's blood crieth unto me from the ground. Now we have blood crying. Now we have blood crying. So first and foremost, in chapter 3, we had, I heard the voice of, and they heard the voice of the Lord God walking. So now a voice has legs in chapter 3. And now here we have the voice of the brother's blood crying from the ground. Now you see Abel had gone down to the ground, right? Abel is now on the ground and Cain is above, right? So verse 11, and now art thou cursed from the earth, which hath opened up her mouth to receive thy. Okay, so switching over to receive thy brother's blood from thy hand. All right. So verse 12, when thou tillest the ground, it shall not henceforth yield unto thee her strength. A fugitive and a vagabond shalt thou be in the earth. Okay. So what does this mean? What I think it means is that you can only yield so much when you use the conscious mind alone. You can only yield so much when with the conscious mind alone. The earth or the conscious mind will only yield so much. Okay. Now, where does blood come from, y'all? Where does blood come from? When you think of blood, what body part do you think of? When you think of blood, what body part do you think of? You think of the heart, right? So where did Abel's gift come from? Where did Abel's offering come from? Abel's gift came from the heart. It came from love. Cain's gift came from the head or logic. So listen to this. So when Cain kills Abel, it is logic killing love. When Cain kills Abel, it is our logical left brain killing the loving right brain. How often does logic kill love? How often in your life has logic killed love? How many of you are not walking in your God-given purpose today because logic told you that there was no money there, that you couldn't do it? That's not the logical thing to do, but it's what you love to do. It's what you love to do. But logic said, no, go to school, do this. I don't know if I don't know if you can make money doing that for a living. How often in our own mind does logic kill love? This is what I think this story is about. It is about our logical brain, usually our left brain, killing love. Okay. And so what are you going to allow to lead? You're going to allow love to lead? Or are you going to give from love? Or are you going to move based in logic? Farming is a logical thing. We need to make sure that we have food here, so we're going to farm and grow and harvest at these certain times. Or we're going to move in love and trust and have faith that God is going to provide as long as we are aligned. Okay? So now Cain is a vagabond and a fugitive. Now Cain is a vagabond and a fugitive, right? And if Cain represents the conscious mind, then what would it mean to be a vagabond and a fugitive? What would it mean to be a vagabond and a fugitive if Cain represents the conscious mind? It means that the conscious mind is now wandering. The conscious mind is now wandering. And you're going to see why that's so important. And how can you till earth if you are wandering? You ever heard of a nomadic farmer? Has anybody here heard of a nomadic farmer? Meaning this person is just roaming, but somehow has a farm over here that's producing. Anybody heard of a nomadic farmer? No. A farmer has to consciously attend to his or her farm. But now Cain is a vagabond and a fugitive. So he's now wandering. The mind is now wandering. And when the mind is wandering, it is impossible to produce. The earth will not yield. You're always on the run. You can't give conscious attention to one thing. Okay? So now, verse 13, and Cain said unto the Lord, my punishment is greater than I can bear. 14, thou hast driven me out this day from the face of the earth, and from thy face shall I be hid. And I shall be a fugitive and a vagabond in the earth. It shall come to pass that everyone that findeth me shall slay me. Now, what's the issue with this, family? Everyone that findeth me shall slay me. What's the issue with this? For all my literalists out there, what's the issue with this? Who the heck is everyone? Not like the homie over there is going to slay. No, everyone, as if there's a whole bunch of people. But if I remember correctly, it's Adam and Eve, then Cain and Abel. Abel's gone. There's only 3 people. Who the heck is everyone? It's not even 4 people. It's only 3 people, if this is taken literally. Okay? So here's what you need to know. A negative mind can create worry, right, out of nothing. A negative mind can create worry out of nothing. Cain is worried about what others think. But Negativity only begets more negativity. There are no others. Nobody's thinking about you, boo. Cain is worried about what everyone else thinks when there is no everyone. Everyone does not exist. There's nobody else except your parents. And some of you really, really care about what your parents think. We're supposed to honor thy mother and thy father, but we also can't subscribe to their programming. Each generation, and this is why the Bible calls them generations, is supposed to get better. Is the 12th generation iPhone supposed to be better than the 11th generation iPhone? The 12th generation iPhone is supposed to be better than the 11th, and the 11th is supposed to be better than the 10th. But if I subscribe exactly to their programming, then I can't be better. I can only produce the same exact result. So a negative mind can create worry out of nothing. There's nobody else, Cain, but you worried about somebody killing you because of what you did. Okay? So negativity only begets more negativity. Negative thought only begets more negative thoughts, right? So verse 15, and the Lord said unto him, therefore, whosoever slayeth Cain, vengeance shall be taken on him sevenfold. And the Lord set a mark upon Cain, lest any finding him should kill him. So we got this all-knowing, amazing Lord. And this Lord is talking to Cain, but somehow putting out a warning across the world that don't touch this dude right here, to nobody. If the Lord really wanted to say anything, he would just say it to Adam and Eve. Don't punish Cain for killing Abel, because those are supposedly the only three people that are on the planet at this moment in time. Can't be true. Okay. And then we do see this number 7, and I'm not sure what that mark actually means. So I have a question mark there. Okay. Right. So verse 16, and Cain went out from the presence of the Lord and dwelt in the land of Nod on the east of Eden. Did anybody research what Nod meant? Anybody research what Nod meant? Anybody look up what Nod meant? Thank you. Nod means wander. And what does a vagabond and a fugitive do? A vagabond and a fugitive does what? Wander. So do you see that these places, the names of these places, are states of consciousness? They are not physical places. Now, have physical places been named after them since? Yes. But these places in, especially these early texts, are states of consciousness. You know, we have how many states in the United States? 52 states in the United States, right? Those are states, those are places. These are states of consciousness. The land of Nod is a state of consciousness. It's not a physical location on a map. How would the name of that place be exactly the activity that Cain is engaged in, which is wandering? I didn't make up the definition of the word Nod. I didn't make up that meaning. Okay. So this is why we have to research what these places actually mean, because they reveal so much truth about the story. Okay. Verse 17, and Cain knew his wife. There we have that word knew again. What's your question right now? What should be your question when it says, and Cain knew his wife? What should be your question? See, we're not taught to question this text at all. Where the heck did his wife come from? Wife? This is how you know we're not talking about physical beings. Where did she come from? Unless he's messing with his mama and they just chose not to name her, where did Cain's wife come from? There's only three people on earth. It's Adam, Eve, and Cain. Where did Cain's wife come from? And this is how many of you can actually know that you were relieved of sin. Because if there are more people besides Adam and Eve on earth, and original sin is tied to Eve, but there are more people than Adam and Eve on earth, perhaps you aren't a descendant of Eve, and therefore original sin does not apply to you. If this whole book is about one woman eating a piece of fruit when she was told not to, and this is about the genealogy of that family, but there are actually other people on earth, then perhaps you aren't of that genealogy, and therefore you are not a sinner. You were not born into sin. Okay? So now we get into some more genealogy. But is this really genealogy? Is this really genealogy when you look at the names? Okay? So all we're using is our head, family, and we're using both. We're using our spirit and our mind together as one. We're using our spirit and our mind as one. Some reason we go into these spiritual places, and whoever's up in that pulpit, we just take their word as truth and we just allow them to indoctrinate us with their perspective. I'm challenging you to seek and think for yourself, to go directly to the Mother, Father, God yourself. You may have never had anybody push you in this way. I'm not here to give you answers. I'm here to challenge you to go seek your own answers. That's all I'm doing. What that will lead to, I have no clue. I do believe that it will lead to a higher level of consciousness for you, which then I believe allows you to live a more rich life. And I don't mean rich just financially. That's probably the last form of rich that I'm talking about. I'm talking about rich in spirit. Okay? So, moving forward, and Cain knew his wife, and she conceived and bare Enoch. And he builded a city and called the name of the city after the name of his son Enoch. Hold up, time out, hold up, wait. Who we building a city for? Who are all these people we're building a city for? If it's just a few of us, we need a tent. We don't need a city. We need a tent, not a city. Okay? So, and unto Enoch was born Irad. So, next question is, where did Enoch's wife come from? This is just like, when you really read it, the literal interpretation does not make sense, family. So we're trying to uncover the deeper meaning. So how many of you looked up the name Enoch? How many of you looked up the name Enoch? How many of you looked up the name Enoch? I need y'all to get better at this. Do not rely on me to do all the work. Because if I end up doing all the work, then I'm just going to go have Bible study on my own. If I'm going to do all the work, then I'll just be better off having Bible study on my own. I'm not recreating the situation that many of us grew up in, where we're relying on somebody else to do the work 6 days of the week and then deliver us their cliff notes. That's what we ain't going to do. You know how to use Siri and Google for all other types of things. I need you to go do some Google searches. Hebrew meaning of Enoch. That's all. Okay? This is not passive learning. This is active learning here. I want you to know how to decode this for yourself, not rely on me to decode it for you. All right? So I see some of you doing the work right now. That's cool. All right? So Enoch means to inaugurate, to train, or dedicate it. All right? Okay? What does that mean for us? Not sure yet. All right? And unto Enoch was born Irad. Where did Enoch's wife come from? What does Erad mean? Erad means city of witness or fugitive. Okay. And Erad begat Mehuhael. Mehuhael means destroyed of God, smitten of God. So that means basically killed by God. And then Mahuel begat Methusiel, which means man of God. Okay. And then Methusiel begat Lamech, which means strong man, for humiliation or to or towards lowliness. So that's what Lamech means. And then Lamech took unto him 2 wives, the names of one which was Ada, and the name of the other Zillah. Now, Lamech must have been a player, because from what I know, women seem to be scarce on this earth, and Lamech was just like, I'm gonna take 2. Y'all other dudes don't know what y'all doing. Like, y'all my brothers and everything, but I'm just gonna take 2 because y'all out here sleeping. How did Lamech end up with how did he end up with 2? And where are these imaginary wives coming from? All right. So Lamech took unto him 2 wives. The name of one was Ada. Ada means to pass by or ornament. Okay. And then the name of the other, Zillah, means shadow, bell, to ring, or to be dark. Okay. So it's probably the second one, because Ada and Zillah are probably contrasts, right? Ada is this beautiful ornamental thing, and Zillah is like dark. All right. And Ada bore Jabal, and Jabal means conduit or flowing. And he was the father of such as dwell in tents, right? And of such as have cattle, right? And his brother, his name was Jubal. Jubal means flow maker, to carry or to bring along. He was the father of all such as handle the harp and organ. So do you see flow maker? And now we have instruments being introduced, right? So Jubal got flow. So Jubal was like the Genesis version of Jay-Z. All right. Jubal was like the Genesis version of Jay-Z. He had flow. All right. Made music, or Kanye. Okay. And Zillah, she also bare Tubal Cain. So we see the word Cain there. And that means global smith, world spear, or world government. So Tubal is means global or worldly. Okay. An instructor of every artificer in brass and iron. And the sister of Tubal Cain was Naamah. Now, this is the first sister that is mentioned. And Naamah is pleasant and beautiful. So this seems to be the first woman born in the lineage. This is the first woman that's born in the lineage. What the significance of that is, I don't know, but Naamah is here. And Lamech said unto his wives, Ada and Zillah, hear my voice, ye wives of Lamech. Hearken unto me, unto my speech, for I have slain a man to my wounding, and a young man to my hurt. So this is, so he killed, Lamech killed like his 3 times great grandfather, who was Cain. So I don't know why murder just seems to be so prevalent here. But Lamech, without any instigation or any story of what happened, right, has slayed a man, right? So, and even Moses, if you remember, Moses slayed a man. So it's a lot of supposed killing in this book. All right. So then 24, if Cain shall be avenged 7-fold, truly Lamech 77-fold. I'm not sure what the meaning or significance of that is, right? And Adam knew his wife again, and she bare a son, called his name Seth. For God said, he hath appointed me another seed instead of Abel, whom Cain slew. So based on the pattern that I told you before, what do you think the word Seth means? What do you think the name Seth actually means based on what I taught you? The pattern that we see. Based on the pattern, Seth means appointed. You see this word in verse 25, appointed? For God, she said, hath appointed me. So Seth happens to mean, or actually not happens to mean, it means appointed. So again, the following sentence can give you understanding what that name actually means, but of course, I still want you to research it, okay? Then verse 26, and to Seth, to him also were born a son, and he called his name Enos. Then began men to call upon the name of the Lord. So it sounds like there was a lineage of men who were not calling upon the Lord. And then once Enos came in through Seth, right here, got back on track, started calling upon the Lord again. All right. So something happened there, right? And then that ends the chapter. So now what I need to show you is this lineage here at the bottom, okay? So we have Adam and Eve. That's the first generation, supposedly, okay? Then there's Abel, Cain, and Seth. Those are their three children. Abel got knocked off by Cain, right? So now Cain goes to Enoch, to Irad, to Mahuhael, to Methusael, Lamech, and then to Jubal, Tubal-Cain, and Naamah, to 8th generation. Okay, then Seth, what you will see in the next chapter, Seth goes to Enos. People started calling upon the name of the Lord again. Then to Canaan, so use the word Cain. Then to Mahalalel, to Jared. Then to Enoch again. So the name Enoch, which means to inaugurate, train, or dedicated, comes back again. Methuselah comes up, and then Lamech comes up in the 9th generation through Enos again, and then Noah is the 10th generation. So why Lamech and Enoch come up twice? I don't know if they were just short on names or whatnot, but those two names come up again through this lineage. They're in both Cain and Seth's lineage. So that's something that we will explore when we get to Genesis chapter 5. So given that, I believe that the moral of this story and what this allegory is really trying to teach us is that if we are not careful, logic will kill love in the same way that Cain killed Abel. Possessiveness will kill potentiality. Manpower, right? Relying on manpower will actually kill off manifestation. The left brain has the potential to kill the right brain. Ego has the potential to kill God. Mind has the ability to kill heart. Conscious has the ability to kill the superconscious. Uncontrolled emotions have the ability to kill inner peace. Negativity has the ability to kill positivity. Effort has the ability to kill exponential growth. And our senses have the ability to kill inner inspiration. This is what I believe that this allegory is really telling us, Cain and Abel. It's not two brothers just beefing. Because if Cain would have been mad at anybody, who should Cain have been mad about? If Cain was going to be mad at anybody, who would Cain be mad at? Be mad at God. I gave you an offering based on what you gave to me. And you told me, well, why would I be mad at my brother? My brother's not the one who rejected my offering. It was the Lord. So this is not about a beef between two brothers. This is about our logical mind killing off love. That's what I believe based on my analysis and decoding of this story. And so again, when we look at this text as a manual for our mind, we have to be very mindful. We have to observe where Cain is trying to kill Abel in our lives. We have to observe where Cain is trying to kill Abel in our lives. Yes, Mary, great one. Scarcity kills abundance. Good one, Mary. Whoo. How y'all feeling? How y'all feeling? All right. So that is Genesis 4, family. That's what I got. That's what I got. Yeah, these stories ain't oh yeah, it's just about jealousy between two brothers. Nah, we could go watch the Housewives of whatever city for that, right? If we want to see jealousy, we could go see that. That story, those things, those housewives shows, those are never going to be in the Bible. So this has to be more than about jealousy between two individuals, right? There's a lot of movies and TV shows about jealousy. This goes deeper than jealousy between two individuals. All right. So, man, I feel good about that one. I feel good about that one. That really resonates with my spirit. But again, it's not about convincing or converting you to my way of seeing it. I hope you got your own understandings and understandings from this particular story. And again, as you build out your own metaphysical Bible dictionary, like you'll take your meaning of sheep, you'll take your meaning of earth, you'll take your meaning of new, and you'll run that through the text and see if that code that you came up with fits in every single place. And we're all going to have our own inner and understandings of source. Okay. All right. So grateful to have all of you here. So yes, the Facebook group, if you're not in the Facebook group, let me go give you that link. If you're not in the Facebook group yet, here is the link. Go ahead and go to the Facebook group and type your insight from today. Type your insight so that we can document that. And then I'm also putting that on IG. And go ahead and join the Facebook group. If you're joining us on IG for the first time, we meet every Sunday, 3 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. Next week, we will be decoding Genesis 5. Okay. The early chapters of Genesis are some of the richest. Some of the later chapters don't have as much allegory in them. And so we will be jumping into other stories, but we're going to get to Noah. Noah is chapter 6. So actually, do we want to do Genesis 5 and 6? Hold on. Yeah, so Genesis 5 actually just runs through this lineage of Seth that I wrote down at the bottom. So I actually want you to go to, you want to do 5 and 6, or you want to just skip to 6? You want to do 5 and 6 or skip to 6? Yeah, let's just skip to read 5. Reading 5 is optional. Okay. So homework is reading 5 is optional. And then but definitely I want you to decode chapter 6. Okay. Reading 5 is optional because it's really just quote unquote lineage. It's not I don't think it's biological lineage, but go ahead and do that option as optional homework, and then definitely spend time decoding chapter 6 as we get into the story of Noah. How many of you know that the story of Noah has got to have something in it? How many of you know that the story of Noah got to have some good stuff in it? It's got to, right? It's got to. So I think you're going to enjoy that one. As you can see, I've already read through it a couple times, and I'm going to read through it 3 more times this week in preparation for next Sunday. So again, I'll see you Sunday at 3 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. Go ahead and go to the Facebook and and document your greatest insights and takeaways from this particular teaching. Make sure that you read Genesis 6 3 times. Read Genesis 6 3 times, and Genesis 5 is optional since we already broke down the lineage of Enos. All right. I appreciate you. The website, which website, Yolanda? Which website? The Facebook group is, I posted the Facebook group link in chat. And for those of you on social media, you can go to jointruthseekers.com, plural, jointruthseekers.com, plural, and get access to the Facebook group and the replay. All right. Yeah, same Zoom link next Sunday. All right, y'all. Love you, and I'll catch you next week. Have a good one. Peace.